Makeda Mahadio, and we are here for day 2 of the Global AI Summit on Africa right here in Kigali, Rwanda. And today we are going to be bringing you a very special edition of Young Africa Connects. We have some brilliant panelists that are going to be speaking to us about that. So from here, let's go ahead and head over to the studio. Hello, and welcome to a very special edition of the Young Africa Connects conversation. It is on the sidelines of the Global AI Summit on Africa right here in Kigali, Rwanda. Young Africa Connects is a monthly conversation that's hosted by MasterCard Foundation under their Young Africa Works Facebook and Instagram pages. And this specific conversation is under the theme Championing Africa's Next Generation of Innovators, and it brings together bold thinkers from across the continent who are using AI, tech, and design to solve real-world challenges. With over 60% of Africa's population under 25 and booming tech ecosystem, these youth-led innovations from healthcare to education to logistics and climate action are shaping the continent's future. So it's sure to be a great conversation, but before we get into it and get to know our panelists, I'd like for you to get to know our sign language interpreter, Dorcas Nashimle. So thank you so much to Dorcas for helping us out on this conversation. And now, without any further ado, I would like for us to get into it. So I'll start off. My name is Makeda Mahadio, and down the line, I would like us for all to introduce ourselves and tell us a little one-liner about you, and then we'll get into the conversation. So let's go ahead and start down at that side.
Hello, everybody. My name is Alifa from Senegal. I'm basically a UI engineer, and my goal is to basically connect the creative side of UI and trying to incorporate it into a AI mode that we know is coming.
Hi everybody, my name is Mike Dogan Kibo. I'm the CEO, co-founder of Kenle, an African language learning app and AI translation company.
My name is Lavender Breke. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Climate 360, where we build climate-resilient tools for farmers and connect them to financial products.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kadis Sasfaye. I'm the CEO and founder of Yene Health. We are a femtech startup in Ethiopia. We leverage AI technology to support women in their reproductive health and maternal health journeys.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rose Kimu. I am a master's student in information technology at Carnegie Mellon University, Africa. I am passionate about human-computer interaction, responsible AI, as well as building tech communities.
And Rose, I want to start with you. So I want us to all go through one more time, this time from that end to this end, and just talk a little bit about what your AI journey has been like.
So my AI journey started when I was in undergraduate. That was back in 2023. I was in JKUAT in Kenya. And in my 4th year, the first project I ever worked on was on a robotic secretary assistant. So we were working to develop assistant that would work hand in hand with the real secretaries to answer the redundant questions so that the real secretaries could actually focus on more complex work. And in that work is when I got my introduction to responsible AI. I didn't know such a thing existed, but then we had to include responsible AI principles like inclusivity, to cater for English speakers who are not native speakers, and other principles like explainability. So that was in 2023. And then in 2024, for my capstone project, I worked on a project called MedBot, which was a chatbot for computer-aided diagnosis of respiratory diseases. So we were working with a medical practitioner where they will be able to upload X-ray images and then get predictions on the type of disease. So that was back in undergrad. And then when I came to Carnegie Mellon University, I've been taking courses in AI and doing research. And one of the most interesting courses that I've been taking is about using big data to solve social issues like poverty, the gender bias, and actually seeing how to include principles like looking for bias in the systems, ensuring the systems are transparent, and ensuring they serve the social good. So that has been my AI journey so far.
Quite a journey it's been, and let's all like keep the conversation with each other. You know, I know it's very tempting to want to talk to the audience, but you know, like let's go ahead and just keep it personal on the ring.
Okay.
Yeah. And then later on, we'll have some people with Q&A and stuff like that. Okay, so I want to go into everyone's AI journey before we get into any more questions. So, Kadist, tell us about yours as well. How did you get started, and is there anyone that inspired you? Like, let's get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, so let me start off first by confessing I'm not a tech person. So that's actually a very interesting journey for me because I'm not a technical person. Even just getting into the tech world is a new space for me. I'm in healthcare and business. However, I think my journey has been quite organic. So really, first, we started off with a mission to support women during their reproductive healthcare journey, and throughout that, it wasn't like we were trying to build an AI tool immediately from day one, but it was more of how can we solve this problem in a way that could be cost efficient, but also accessible. In Ethiopia, we're a quite massive country. We have 130 million plus population. So ensuring that we can be equitable and also access women, whether they're in the capital city or, in the rural areas, was something we're always thinking about. Like, how can we be more efficient and reach these women? So AI kind of naturally, AI and tech naturally just kind of came into our place in terms of, hey, we can leverage technology and, leverage AI to make women's experience using our app more personalized, and kind of learn for us too. So in the first couple of years, we weren't really into developing actual AI tools, but now we're 3 years old. Over the last year, we've really been realizing the power that AI could have in our platform. So we're still in the exploration phase. But we leverage AI to make our app more personalizable. When women are pregnant and using our app, tracking their pregnancy, we give them notifications, reminders. We give them content that's recommended for their journey and where they're at, so they can be educated throughout their journey. Also, we have an online pharmacy. So if they're learning or reading about the first trimester, we have supplements that are required. So we will offer that on our online pharmacy, and just help them wherever they are in their journey. So I think it has been significantly impactful, and just even now as we're exploring, but we see it really going to scale with our company as well, where we're going to get into early diagnostics of women's healthcare needs and so on as well. So as everything is evolving, every day, as you guys know, with AI too, it's something that as a company we're learning, and learning to be responsive and adaptive as well. Because even for me as a founder, I'm not into that technical kind of space. Our tech team is handling that. So even for me, I'm really catching up every day. Like, okay, what happened today? Like, how do we also catch up with it, but also ensure that women are using our AI tools in the right way, in the way that we make sure that we can reduce implicit bias or algorithmic based bias in our tools. So it's a journey. It's thing's an evolving thing. So I look forward to seeing the journey that we continue to have as we also grow and pivot and evolve Yene Health.
Wonderful. Lavender?
Awesome. I love how everyone's journey is different. Mine started when I sat in an earth science lecture in undergrad at the University of Cambridge in the UK. And they were talking about, earth observation and ways in which this technology can be used. And during my time there, I would meet with PhD students who are studying machine learning and using them in such cases. And I'm like, machine learning? Like, what's happening right now? And that was earlier on. So when I later on went and majored in mechanical engineering, so not really software, I saw how there's power in a revolution happening tech-wise, right? For our old mechanical engineers, that's a very, hardcore industry, but you understand things like agrarian revolution and how tools were used to transform agriculture. That's when I got my interest in software, actually. I was like, I need to learn the other side. So immediately after I finished, I tried a few entrepreneurship endeavors, consulting. Then I started doing software engineering at Alex. Went through that whole journey, studied, graduated, interacted with a community of young people who are eager to innovate. Then I recalled all the knowledge I got back then on earth observation and all the different conversations I had on machine learning. And I was like, there's so many African problems to solve. Where can I start? Right? So that's how I've ended up building Climate 360, using satellites to be able to do climate risk modeling and using technology as a tool, right? Africa has real problems that need practical solutions on ground. So that's my journey with AI, watching it grow and also knowing that a lot of research has gone into building what we have now, and we need to actively participate in building the future of AI?
Tell me. Yeah, my journey of AI, I believe, started even before we launched our company in Kenle. In Kenle was launched because we wanted to to create access for people to learn African languages. I personally was raised in the United States and I didn't have access to learn Igbo growing up. So we created Kenle. At first, before creating Kenle, I tried to use Google AI to learn Igbo, but Google's African language AI capabilities is trash. It's not very good. So that inspired to create Kenle, which is our African language learning app. And from doing Kenne, we saw that AI and language translation could be a really great tool for not just our users, but for the African continent. So we decided to launch into the AI space to do translations and specifically focus on tonality. In our continent, we have many languages that one word can mean a variety of different things. For instance, Nkenne has different meanings. Nkenne and Nkenne has different meanings. So we want to be able to have users have access to have tonally sensitive AI translation capabilities. So that is particularly our focus.
Hello everyone. So my journey basically started in my first year university. I started as a UI designer, and during my second year, I told myself I wanted to marry something new. I was really interested in coding, so I decided to actually, whatever I was design interface with, I would actually implement it as a front-end developer. That's why during my second year and third year, I was really working on developing my coding skills. Even though it's not what I went for university, during my spare time, I'll work to start developing web apps on my free time while also doing schoolwork at the same time. And then during my fourth year, that's when internet course came in. But the internet course basically started in September. But my group of friends were all like, we all use ChatGPT. So whenever we're trying to study something, go to GPT, ask it what do we want, right? Ask him to do something for us or generate a class or a module. So that's how IntelliCourse came about to be. IntelliCourse is basically a platform that lets you generate full modules and use your assignments, quizzes based on just a prompt that you would write. And yeah, our journey started in September. We have an amazing team, and I wish they were here with me today because they're very, very well supportive. And yeah.
Now, I like that the panel kind of has a really good balance as far as the journeys of people who studied in school, tech, I guess you could say, in school, and then the people who just decided to use their tools to fix a problem that they were facing. And so that really takes us nicely into what I wanted to ask you all about, which is the challenges that you've faced in your journeys of creating your solutions, right? So I said that I wouldn't do too much pointing out to people. So whoever wants to go first and let us know what's been some of the walls that you've hit. And keep in mind, we're in a space now, we're on the sideline of this Global AI Summit on Africa, a place where, you know, you're networking, you're talking to people, but you're also sharing and trying to figure out how you can learn from one another, how you can get some of the answers to the questions that you may have asked, or share your story to people who may be having the same challenges now. So is there anyone who would like to take that? What's the challenges been like in your journeys?
Some challenges that I feel like I faced was as a company, IntelliCourse, we're focusing on educational learning, right? So the main problem would be actually having to expand AI in the African continent, and our main struggle would be the infrastructure. We can't spread AI in the African continent without having students have access to computers and all the needed requirements to actually use AI. Because we're talking about using AI, and the main source of AI is to have technology. One other aspect would be to actually make sure that the AIs actually connect with the cultural background of the country. So what we do is basically teach the AI to actually allow the teachers to actually upload your code files, you know, make sure that their modules fit the curriculum of the school, or the students could actually understand a course not based in euro because AI will generate anything it thinks is right. So telling the AI what to do with the course material that the teachers give them would actually be a good solution for it.
Okay. Now, I want everyone to talk about their challenges, but Rose, I know that you had mentioned having your own specific challenges just around being a woman in the space.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So one of the main challenges that I faced, especially when I joined in this field, is the lack of representation that I saw in the field. So when I first joined tech in my class, I remember the first time I walked in class, it was like a class of 60, and it was only like 10 to 15 females. And then forward track to 2 or 3 years later when I was in my final year, and we were just like 5 ladies out of a class of 30. And I remember I used to go to like tech conferences, I go to this networking, and I see very little women. You go to some sessions, all the panel discussions, you see that all the panelists are male. So, and then when I go online, I love social media. So when I went online, I will see predictions that majority of the women in tech live by the time they're 30. So I used to wonder, like, is this my trajectory? Am I just here so that I can live after 30? Aren't there women that I can relate to, that I can see, that can inspire me on this journey? And I think especially on the issue of confidence, and this is something that I've found especially with women in the field, you'll find that women are very qualified, probably even more overqualified than the men around. But when you ask them, do you code? They're like, I can do something. I mean, but this is someone who has a graduate degree. They're very qualified. And it's just the confidence to put themselves out there because they feel like this field is not inclusive of them. And one thing that really helped me in that journey was a mentorship initiative where I was matched with a mentor from Microsoft, like a woman who looks like me. She has the skin tone, the same skin tone as I am. And I remember going through these challenges and then realizing that I'm not the only one who is facing them. She's telling me her story when she was young. And I realized that actually I'm not alone in this. And I think that really helped me to grow my confidence, to actually put myself out there, to say what I bring to the table and actually ask for opportunities. And something else that I saw, I didn't experience it, but I saw it. It's especially with the issue of digital divide. One time I traveled to my rural area, and it's a place that's really far from the city. And I saw that a transformer had blown up and there was no electricity in the area. And now I could imagine that these are the students and the young people that you're bringing up to engage in this digital economy. They don't have any electricity. That means they don't have access to internet. If they have any computers, they can't use them. And this happened for over a month. So that is a month that you do not have access to do. So how do we expect these people to actually contribute in this digital economy that you're building? And in a way that does not shut them out, because one of the concerns we've seen in this conference is the issue of technology actually being exclusive to some underrepresented communities. So I will say that is a challenge I've seen. And that is one of the things that I'm most passionate about, especially for people who are not represented. They're not seen, they're not heard in these conversations that you're having, but the decisions that are being made in such forums affects them wherever they are. Thank you.
Okay. Now, Khalifa and Michael, I'm sorry. This is where the conversation went to. So we'll come back to other challenges very, very shortly. But I do want to hear from Lavender and from Kadis if you've had any specific challenges that you face being a woman in this space as well.
Sure. Yeah, I can definitely see where your perspective on that. I definitely see that. I think from my perspective, so a couple of things. As a founder, as a CEO of running a company that uses AI and so on, finding women that are in that space is also difficult for us, right? So especially for a company like us, where we are building women solutions. So we have to understand the anatomy of a woman. We're dealing with an app that, talks about pregnancy and menstruation and so on. And I have a full tech team of men. So it's so important that I need to be involved because I'm sitting there explaining to them what a menstruation cycle is, or just basic things that I could have, if there was a female on the team, she could address those challenges and then they could quickly develop what needs to happen. So there's so many components of just the the significance that there was more women available in the market that could be on tech teams, whether it's just not even just like AI experts, female, but also actually just developers. Like we don't have access to many of them, so that's quite difficult. Another thing also within that is now we're seeing the growth of BPOs across Africa, right? Especially in Ethiopia. So a lot of companies are training local talents, whether it's female, male, talent to do jobs for abroad, right? So they take in big contracts with Microsoft, Google, whatever it is, and then a lot of the talent they're being hired through these BPOs to offer that service. So a lot of us as a company, you don't have access to them or we can't afford them. So then it becomes like, okay, I want to build this product. I don't have the team to do it. I can't afford them. Or it becomes the idea of experience. Like it's a new thing. A lot of universities don't even have AI programs yet in Africa. So we're still now developing them. So we end up being stuck in terms of how we don't have experts. The ones that we do are working for other companies abroad, but then also the ones that remain, the small pool that we have, they're still junior level. They're not moving at the speed of where AI is going globally. So then it's always like you're catching up on that end. Then on the other side, on the user side is one thing that I want to mention as a challenge, because I think at this point, even in Africa, I mean, globally, AI is becoming like a big thing now, right? And people know what AI, they've heard of AI, generally speaking. They've heard of it. They know it's like revolutionary and all these things. But also, it's good that government has there's good political will around, especially in a lot of our African countries, they're supporting AI solutions at government level, also private sector. However, when you sit down in rooms and really unpack it, you realize there's so much misconception around AI. And even to the point where leaders that are making these policies actually don't really understand what AI is or the power of it. They have to be part of the narrative, and it's sexy and it's buzzing. But we don't really have people that understand it really in the leadership role. So then it creates kind of a challenge on how do you scale your solution? Is there buy-in? But also not only on that side, but also on user side. Even if you're dealing with women, we deal with women outside of Ethiopia or outside of Addis Ababa and other areas. And even for them, they feel like when they see AI, they feel like that's not for them. They feel like it's so far, right? They feel like, oh, that's for a class or a society that's maybe well educated or whatever. But when you look at AI, actually the most powerful way to use it is to reach people that have low literacy rates. Using voice AI to talk to a woman, to ask her about how she's feeling about her her pregnancy, or so those are really powerful ways that we can actually help them get services that they normally wouldn't get. So I think there needs to be a lot around just advocacy and making sure that we're all on the same page. And I think that's a challenge as a startup. We're trying to do our own little thing in our corner, but then the people that we're trying to serve need to make sure that they're clear on this is for you. But also the leaders that we have in positions need to understand give us access to data. Let me get some health data, maternal and child health. Let me help the country in terms of, and then we don't have a data sharing data governance policy in Ethiopia yet. So you end up realizing you can only do so much, and without data, you can't do much for the country as well. So it's still early. I think it's happening in most places, but I think when you get into the work, you realize it's not something that we can move on our own. We definitely need the ecosystem to be aligned on that. But hopefully, I'm optimistic that that'll naturally evolve and be better.
As more awareness is raised, because it seems like the challenge is raising awareness not only with your users, it's upskilling, but it's also with the people who are running things, the policymakers, right?
Exactly.
Lavender.
Lovely points. I was nodding my head off. So I want to talk about representation. There's a side that Rose has touched on where we need more AI researchers, AI engineers, data scientists who are women. Because we have the statistics of right now, as it stands, we have 10% less. There's a gap. And AI is still very early within the African space. So we can't have that gap widened. As young innovators trying to build tech teams, it's a challenge to find women within this space. I'm very proud of my CTO because she's a woman, but I still see the challenges that she faces in trying to break down some concepts and build women first type of team. So we are very intentional on how we hire as well and how we scout. So it's lovely to see Rose in this space doing research and really growing her skills. We do appreciate that, and we encourage you to keep pushing and bring more women into this space. I think the second part is we need to simplify AI. Africa does not need AI just for the sake of AI. We need it for faster healthcare access. We need it so that we can make farmers more climate resilient. We need it to promote financial inclusion. So we need to push AI within the continent as a tool for change. And I think that will open up the space for more people, more young people, more women to come in when they see, okay, we are doing this for impact. It's beyond the technology.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, I like that you brought in also a solution to the challenges. You said that, you're very intentional with your scouting. And this is, I think, somewhere where we can also bring in Michael and Khalifa in. That's what I want to ask you guys now. Like, what do you think are some of the solutions to this specific challenge? We're going to get back into some other challenges as well. But what can we do to encourage more women and girls to get into this space? What can we do to make sure that, there's more awareness in everybody, in the villages, in, the schools about what AI is and what it can be used for and how it can be used as a tool? How can we be intentional about making sure that this is something that becomes a bit more democratized and understood, and so that we don't face these kind of issues anymore? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think one of the solutions that we can do that I've seen doing a very amazing work is mentorship. And I think that in the new wave of AI, it really holds a great potential. So for example, in the program I was in, I was connected to a mentor at Microsoft, and we used to have conversations once a week, and then I would have material to review. Then we meet the following week. But I actually saw that they have introduced a new component called GMI Copilot, where they have trained a model with all the resources that the mentors have. And then the mentees have access to that in form of a chatbot. They can ask it questions. How can I optimize my LinkedIn profile? How can I do this? How do I go to professional? What professional connections can I get from this place? And I think now if we take a solution like that and take it to people who cannot access these mentors, people like the girls in my rural village who do not have access to these mentors, and they're actually able to have the same privilege and opportunity that I got to have. And I think that can really help a lot, especially in decentralizing it. I take it back to the people who need it the most. And something else that I think can really help with this is cat. It has.
You forgot the other thing that can help. It's fine, because you know what? When it comes back, you bring it up.
Yes.
Did you have anything, Kadis, that you wanted to?
Yeah, I'm trying to just boil it down to 3 things. But I think, so number 1 is education. So not just education in terms of awareness creation, but also in academia. I think academia plays a big role in this. There needs to be more programs that are available for students, both at undergrad level and grad level, master's level as well, to ensure that they can have proper, science-backed education to understand AI, but also to equip the next generation of talent that needs to be equipped, right, to build these solutions. Second thing is government. And what I mean by that is it's around policy, but also there needs to be proactiveness in actually implementing AI solutions, like at government level, at national level. One example I'll give you, for example, what we did in Ethiopia with we're just now trying to head towards a cashless society. We just recently, a couple of years ago, introduced our mobile money called Telibir, kind of so the M-Pesa of Ethiopia. And so the government launched it. I know everyone is like, oh my God, this mobile money, but it's a new concept for a majority of Ethiopians. And people were like not using it. So a couple of months went by, everybody's like, okay, this thing's gonna fail, like go back to our cash. Then what the government did was just literally over a weekend, they announced an announcement saying, starting Monday, every single fuel station, gas station only accepts Telibir, so no more cash. So at this point, imagine, doesn't matter what your education level is, doesn't matter who you know or what you know, the payment system is only online. So all these taxi drivers that just hate technology and they don't want to use it and so on, they have to drive, they have to make money, so they were forced. So they were just like, of course they cried about it and like, we just wanted to do work. But within a week and a half, lines were long. They had agents at every single fuel station, and they had people they were kind of forced into using it. Within like a week and a half, 2 weeks, it became kind of normal. It was a behavior that like was mandated almost. But it's like, if the government didn't take that kind of mandate and like push to just say like, we have to do this or we're going to be behind, nobody would adopt. And now they're doing like, the Telibir is transacting more than $6 billion for every 6 months or so, which is massive, right, for the economy as well. So what I mean by government is, of course, there's the policy side of it, allowing, people to share data and have access and all these things. But also there needs to be a way that government services are also utilizing these tools so that it kind of becomes a natural thing to do, right? Biometric data. Right now, we're doing our national ID in Ethiopia, our unique IDs for citizens, which are going to lead to different tools that we can use it to, for crime, for justice, for different industries. I think government has market share, so they can really do that. And then the other side is media. So I think media is so powerful, obviously, across Africa and Ethiopia as well. And I think a lot of people, I mean, they're online or they're on TV watching things. And I feel like they need to take a conscious role in communicating that to the world, right? Or to the population. So, implementing it in different news channels or even like in different, sitcoms or whatever it is, like that needs to be part of the conversation in a way that people can relate to it, right? Not just a foreign concept, but like, hey, I'm sitting with my family having dinner and then I just use my AI tool to do this, whatever. Like it needs to be a normalized part of community that makes sense into our society that needs to be like broadcasted at a national level. So I think these three can be very, very effective if they work together to actually accomplish, the awareness side and adoption.
Yeah. And by just being in the space, you guys are also kind of contributing to a solution, right? Which is showing, women that women are in this space. You're telling your stories. You're making sure that those things are understood. And I don't want you guys to feel like you're not a part of the conversation because you very much are. I would love for you to say something, Michael. Yes.
It's been interesting because 55% of our C-suite in our company is for females. It's been one of the secret sauces to our company. My mother raised me as a single mother, so I know the strength of our firsthand. And when I see our competitors do not have women in their company, I already know that they're internally weaker. So it's definitely, again, it's one of our secret sauces to our company, but it's definitely something that not just in the continent of Africa, but globally, we need to look at and see how it elevates because the female voice is an incredibly strong voice in tech. And it has allowed us to grow faster than not having that voice in our company.
So you call it the secret sauce. Does that mean that you intentionally seeked out to have that many women in your team, or did it just happen that way?
A bit of both. Again, our co-founder is a woman. Our team lead, we have two team leads that are females. While even person that's here with me at this conference, our VP of curriculum, Ngozi Ikochukwu, is female, and she has been instrumental to the elevation of our company. So I would say it's a bit of both, but it is really one of the secret sauces to a company.
Khalifa, nothing to add there?
I'll say I disagree with both Kidist and Rose's first solution. Basically, tutoring, actually, starting at the base level, making sure everybody understands what AI is, not just the LLMs, because once you're writing a prompt and just getting an answer, you don't actually know what AI is. Like, just knowing what it is, have, I don't know, like at school, high school, make a small class of teaching kids what AI actually is, starting from the bottom, instead of having to university level or college level or teaching them from that point what everybody really means. I think if we are to like in 20 years or 15 years, if you want like Africa to actually expand on a global level and be the dominant field in AI, we should definitely start with at the root of it.
Right. And we've seen that it's not something that's so crazy. You mentioned mobile money. I mean, that was adapted so quickly by so many people across, industries and backgrounds. And so we know that we just need education. We just need these things to be spoken about.
Yes. I wanted to add something else. And I think it's amazing that you have entrepreneurs who are doing really amazing stuff here. I think the burden also falls onto entrepreneurs and even us as researchers and builders of these technologies. Because when we build technology that actually is relatable to the people that you're building it with, it increases the adoption. So I like to use the example of mobile money, and it's good that you brought it up. So in Kenya, we have M-Pesa. I've seen in Rwanda, they have Momo, and it's amazing. So one of the good things that I saw with M-Pesa is that it was developed with the thought that some of the users might be people in low resource settings. So they don't own smartphones, they have feature phones. So even when you have a feature phone, you are able to do your transactions in M-Pesa smoothly, same as someone like me who has a smartphone. And I think this is something that makes people feel included because it's not like you're building a solution that works in your lab. Where you have GPUs and all that, but you're actually building technology that works in low resource settings. When you look at the M-Pesa, it's very simple. Like you just go there, it says send money, enter number, send, enter PIN, and then send. It's very simple. Even for someone who is not literate, they're able to understand this solution. So the burden lies also onto us. We should not overcomplicate the AI thing, make it feel out of reach of the people that we are developing it for. We're not developing it for us as researchers. We are not only developing for the people who are literate. We are not only developing it for people who can speak English. We are also developing this for people who don't know how to speak English. So when we when we put that in mind at the start of building the technology and not as an afterthought, I think this is something that really increases the adoption of the technologies.
Right. I mean, you make a really great point. And when it comes to Momo and to M-Pesa, another thing that I think really helped the adoption of it was the fact that it was beneficial. It was a good incentive for people who were unbanked, which is a lot of people on the continent. I think majority of people don't have a bank account, don't know how to interact with the banking system. And so it was a way that they could keep their money that didn't have to be, it was more secure, right?
Yeah.
And so I think, like you said, just thinking about those things before and keeping in mind what anybody's situation is, because there is a level of privilege that has come with, you know, the AI movement in Africa. You have to be, I don't know, able to access certain things. And so it would be a great way to bring everyone in. But I do want to go, before we wrap up the challenges conversation, I do want to go back to some of the things that Khalifa mentioned. And Michael, if you wanted to bring up anything that we haven't discussed so far, but one of the things that you said was the lack of access to resources. And it's something we've been speaking to people. We're now on day 2 of the Global AI Summit, and we've been speaking to so many people throughout yesterday and this morning. And it's one of the things that has come up in almost every conversation. We need resources, we need funding, we need access to, you know, that's because the passion is there, the will is there, people are ready, but you can't do it unless you have. So what do you think is a way that we could alleviate that? How can we, outside of just asking for it, how can we try and find solutions?
I feel like I'm not the most educated when it comes to I'm talking to government officials, but I feel like it just starts small. Like it just, I don't know, open a class, not the classroom, but have every school at least have tech computers, right? But it's I'm pretty sure it's so much. I feel like if they just start small and just grow on it, I think that could be a solution to it. But
You were mentioning about, you know, starting small. And I think that's the thing that people want to be able to contribute. They want to be able to change this thing and help, but they don't know what to do. So maybe alumni is going back, giving their schools, you know, a computer, or I don't know, mentioning certain names in certain rooms. You just never know when things can be given. We want to make this big impact at a time, but really small things really do help. Michael, did you have anything that you wanted to add as far as just solutions or any challenges that you didn't bring up?
Yeah, so like everyone's saying, access to data has been a definite challenge. When it comes to languages, especially the African languages and on our continent, it's considered low resource languages because there's not a lot of data. So you can web scrape as much as you can. You can look for open source data sets as much as you can. But at the end of the day, there's not enough data to train models and languages. So we've had to create our own data sets, create our own data internally in order to elevate our language model. And that's really the only way we'll be able to grow. When it comes to, what was your second question?
Solutions.
Yeah, solutions. Yeah, so I'm lucky to be around entrepreneurs because we all know what it's like to do stuff with nothing. He's kind of create
Right.
some things with nothing. Really, you need to find a team or do it yourself and put something out there. You need to show, for me, you need to show proof of concept no matter what, because that's will be something people will, it's harder to put money in dreams if you don't see, especially if the color we are, it's very hard for people to want to invest in us. So you need to put out a proof of concept, even if it's not perfect, that's okay. But putting something out there is better.
It's funny that you even said that because the question that I have here staring at me and I'm looking back at it, it says, how do you balance the excitement of innovation with the realities of sustainability, scalability, and reaching underserved communities? So when you hear that question, what comes directly to mind? I know you got something, Kadis.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, there's so much.
There's layers, especially for me who deals with farmers and solving for the agriculture problem here in Africa and food systems, because the reality of the problem is staring at you. We visited farmers last week before I came for this summit who are telling me that we have to change the crop we are planting that we know nothing about because of climate change. And we are literally starting from scratch. We were used to planting this, but because of the yield and everything, like we have to change, like where do we start? And I'm staring at them, I'm like,
And when they say they're used to, they may be talking about generations.
I know, this is, I'm looking at them like, is it okay if I say I don't know for now and go find the funding, approach government and really have hard conversations that are an emergency, like this is happening now. So for me, the reality has hit that it's not just about the excitement of AI. It's how can we use this to accelerate, right? Because we need to do this and do it fast, right? So when I hear that question, it settles because I know when we are talking about upskilling young people to join AI, it's not a luxury. Like it's something that needs to be done 10 years ago when young people are doing PhD programs in machine learning in the UK, in the US, and we didn't see such huge progress over here. So it's really my call. But at the same time, I don't like to dwell on problems too much. I want to tell young people to make peace with the fact that we need to do hard things, right? Make peace with it because the future is dependent on us being willing to step up and be like, okay, can I find a way to go and resource mobilize to make sure that this happens and this becomes a reality? Because we cannot afford to sit back and be like, yeah, you know, the government is here to set up an AI hub. We cannot. So we have to, yes, start somewhere, but also be willing to do hard things. So we are looking AI in software, who's building the hardware parts, right? So let's have more people willing to go through the sweat of closing this gap.
Did you have something you wanted to add?
Sure, I can add something. So I'm just thinking about even the question. So it really brings me back to even for us as a startup, right? I remember when we initially started, like our deck was like AI, you know, women's health. We're just using all these buzzwords. You know, we're trying to fundraise, and that's what people want to see. They don't want to talk about maternal mortality and there are more areas of Africa. That's not an investable kind of thing, right? So I remember we had it, and then we realized that's not really going to solve the problems that we're trying to solve. Then at one point we removed AI, and we're just like, let's just solve the problem on the ground and so on. So what I'm trying to say is, depending on, so we're, as a company, we're excited about it, of course. You know, we're a tech company, we're working on women's health. But depending on who I'm talking to or who my audience is, my story changes, right? Number one, it's important that your story changes because we're still leveraging AI, we're still leveraging technology. But the woman that we're serving at the end of the day does not care about the AI. She cares about her medication she needs right now, or her nurse she needs to talk to, you know, on her consultation right now. So that excitement, we channel it through, you know, our innovation, like innovative approaches into building our products. But when it comes to, you know, who are we facing, we communicate it differently, right? So, and then if there's an investor talking about it at this day and age, in this era, nobody wants to invest in like any company that's not tech or AI driven. Majority, I would say, especially in the startup space. Like you have to be using these things, you have to be ahead of, you know, the line and all of these things. So, yeah, so I think it's really important to know and understand, like, who are we talking to? Do they align with that? But then also as a startup, you have to make sure that you're not left behind in the conversation. And I think that's really about your storytelling in terms of how do you make sure that, again, it resonates with people in that way. So I think, yeah, and that will always evolve. I think it's evolved with us with DNA Health. And now we're back into using it, but again, using it for efficiency, using it to just make the experience better. At the end of the day, we remind ourselves AI technology is a tool. So I think we always have to ground ourselves back, and say like tomorrow AI might be obsolete and something else new may come up that will just drastically change. So we have to be ready for that kind of transition if it does happen, and just be alert about that.
Yeah. Of course, this is Young Africa Connects. So we're speaking amongst ourselves and we're speaking to all of the young people who are watching now. What's one lesson that you learned on your journeys that you wish more young people knew? And I want anyone who feels like I got the thing. I want you to. I want you to say it.
Yeah, I had one.
Yeah.
I find pleasure in proving people wrong. To me, it's success is the best revenge.
Very satisfying.
Yeah.
When there are people on this journey that will say no, they will say no in a variety of different ways, both offensive and non-offensive. So do what you need to do, healthy, and be cognizant of doing the right thing, but do what you need to do to make sure that what you're building is helpful and successful, because that will fall any questions or doubt that people have. Success is the best revenge.
Yeah, I think one thing that comes to my mind based on my journey and experience, I think right now, at least in Ethiopia, the conversation around entrepreneurship, youth, startups is a thing, right? However, when you look at the reality of who are doing, who is in that space, what companies are coming out of this ecosystem, you realize a lot of them are just fresh graduates that just graduated, they have an idea, and that they're fed this idea that, an idea is amazing, just have the idea and go do it, right? Which I don't agree with. I think an idea is great. We need ideas. However, a lot of the young entrepreneurs that come into the system, they leave just mortified. They are set up for failure sometimes with some programs that are out there, selling them this dream of entrepreneurship, and it's just over glorified. And the path to success isn't because of your idea that's so innovative, but it's really understanding you're running a business, right? At the end of the day, whether you're for profit or not, you're running an operational organization. So get experience is my kind of big thing, is like make sure that you have time to learn from working or interning at other organizations to understand what it takes to manage a budget. How do you hire the right people to do your solution? How do you enter the market? It's not just about the cool app that you build, right? And I think for me, I had 7 years of experience in industry before I even jumped into entrepreneurship. And of course, we have a young population in Africa, and not everybody will be older. However, take time to learn before you jump into saying, that I'm going to be a CEO and fancy. Like, it's not the reality once you step into it, and then go out and do your own thing.
Yeah. I can think of 3 things that have really changed my perspective on things. The first one, just ask. I've learned that most of the times we're scared of being told no. We're scared of someone thinking that you're too ambitious, that I'm asking for too much, I don't deserve this much. But in my experience, yes, there are people who will say no, but more often than not, people are very willing to help. So, for example, when I first I wanted to do some research, and I wasn't hired as a research assistant, but then one person told me about the research they were doing, and I was so interested in it. And then they were just like, go and ask the professor. And then I'm like, what do you mean? I just walk into the room and then ask to be that, and then was like, you do exactly that. And I did exactly that, and we went and talked with him, and it was an amazing conversation, and I ended up joining the team. So if I had not gotten the confidence to go and ask in the first place, it would have been a no. So I mean, if you don't ask, it will be a no. If you ask, you have a chance of getting a yes. And something else I can think of is starting where you are. I think more often than not, we think that I need to have this much money, I need to have a graduate degree in machine learning, I need to be here so that I can go for these opportunities. And something else I can think of in my experience is that I love writing. I've always wanted to write. I wanted to contribute to articles. And I always used to wonder, how can I ever be published in a place that my voice speaks to many people. And then I applied into another organization, and then I got rejected. And then I was like, why would I even continue to pursue this? Because I'm not getting any traction, and I want to be published in big places. And then that was when the thought came into me, like, just start where you are, write where you are. If you love writing, start publishing articles. And that's one thing I love about tech and social media. I don't have to be published in a big newspaper. I can just start my Medium blog there, write there. And I found that that is how people who are actually interested in that are going to discover you after they see what you've been doing, where this part where you are. And something else is fail as many times as you can. I'm a perfectionist, so I often, when failure hits me, I deal with it like really hard. It really brings me down. But I find that the more you fail and the more you learn is the more that you become better at it. And each time you just get some lessons that you're able to improve. So I will say fail as many times as you can. You're going to get it right someday.
Yeah, I just want to add context to what they've both said, because sometimes you find yourself in the YouTube cycle where this video is telling you start now. This other one is like, go learn something. You're like, what do I do? So I need young people to understand the times we are in, right? We are in a place of duality. We need to upskill, and at the same time, we need to solve, right? So as much as you'd like to, go and get 10 years experience or 20, there is no time, right? But at the same time, without the experience, there's so much that goes into running a company, right? There's the financial, once you're done with, oh my God, my idea is this and that, there's a financial side. You need to speak to investors. You need to meet with government, right? So there are those skills that you can easily access on YouTube, right? But at the same time, stop piling certificates of Coursera and, I need to get another one before I start. Learn as you go. You're going to fail so many times, to be honest. Pivot, but learn as you go. Because you can't say, oh, I'm not learning, I'm an entrepreneur. I had to go and study insurance. From the bottom up to understand climate risk modeling from a place of prediction and being able to solve that for farmers. I have a background in engineering. I did it whilst building the company, right? So that's what they are both touching on. In the essence, that start, but at the same time, know that you will always learn, not just in market or with your customers, but literally learning and studying.
Yeah, I think we're all saying the same thing, because even if it's that, you want to have your things published in a big newspaper, but you don't want to wait for, starting where you are, that's giving you experience, the experience that this is talking about, I think one thing that you all have done and that you're showing is that you actually started, right? Regardless of whether you started in school or you started because you had an issue that you wanted to, fix. You did something, you started, and we all know we're going to fail at things, and we just keep it moving, right? We don't have that much time left, but there were a few things that some people from the community wanted to be answered. We're going to try and just do two really, really quick. And then we're going to get the parting shots because, of course, we are here on the sidelines of the summit and we need to go back at it. Okay, so one of the questions from the community, AI and tech are advancing rapidly. How can we ensure that ethical development keeps pace with innovation? And I felt like this was a really important one, because we're here on the continent. There are still a lot of people, like you were saying, who know nothing about it. There's a lot of vulnerable communities. How can we make sure that ethical development keeps pace? Anybody want to?
All looking at
Yeah.
that. Yes, like this is.
Roll. Give it.
Okay. Yes. So this will relate to one of the points that I said initially. I don't think ethical development should be an afterthought that to think about after you develop this, the technologies. I think this is something that should be thought about from the very beginning. And the best way to go at it is to include the people that we are building for in this case. Because if I'm building a solution for a farmer, I am not going to only have researchers and engineers on my team and assume that they know the issues that are going to. Of course, you can have researchers in ethics, but actually we need to build according to the needs of the communities that you're serving. So I feel like having this domain experts and even the users that you're building for in the process of building the technologies is really going to help us address these issues. And something else that I can think of is in terms of politics and governance. I feel like ethics and governance is playing catch up with the technologies that are growing. I think this really lies in the hands of even policymakers to actually come up with policies that address these issues. And this is quite challenging because today you'll have this issue, you'll address it. Tomorrow comes the issue of deepfakes, which is not something maybe that has been addressed, and then that is another issue because it's causing it's a threat to safety of people on the internet, and you have the cyberbullying and the harassment that goes on with respect to that, and then you have these changes going on really rapidly at a rate that it's hard to keep up with it. So I think as much as we are thinking about it from the onset of development as we go, you also need to be really adaptive. I don't think we can say for sure what will happen in the development, but I think we really need to be adaptive even in the policies that you put in place to deal with such things.
All right. We have one more from the community, and then we're going to go into our parting shots. All right. So I think this one is a good one since we are here on the sidelines. What role do partnerships play in scaling your ventures, and how do you choose the right collaborators? I know you mentioned having your co-founder be a woman. Does anybody else want to talk about, or even Michael, does anyone want to talk about the collaborators? You gave your team a shout out too.
Oh yeah. One thing I wanted to mention is I met him at the hotel, and the first thing we talked about is his app, and the first thing that came up to my mind was how he uses languages, to translate between all the languages in Africa, because one of the main reason I came to the summit as well is language, because the platform that I have is basically just in English, and if I wanted to expand it in Africa, I'll have to learn from him. I learned a lot. It's fun. 24 hours. He's a great guy. And yeah, I feel like that's what I told you as well. I feel like 20 years from now, I feel like we and him will be good buddies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can say, I think partnerships are very critical in this space, especially as it was mentioned many times. A lot of the challenges are beyond what one organization can handle, right? Infrastructure, connectivity, access to the market, all these things. So I feel like we need to identify and leverage existing ecosystem players and figure out who fits in there. How do I fit in? How do we make it cost efficient, even as a country, right? The other side of it is the AI space, even the tech space in general, really has to be multidisciplinary, right? I think you mentioned it earlier. Speaking of healthcare products, for example, in Ethiopia, there's we have the Ethiopian AI Institute that develops different healthcare tools, AI-driven tools for different ministries. However, they're tech, they're straight pure tech, nerds, amazing, brilliant. They build their products, and then when it goes into the actual hands of the hospital or the clinics, there's such a gap because they don't have doctors on the team, they don't have nurses, they don't have healthcare folks. However, they've improved their model, but it really shows that when you're building the solution, you really have to have different folks in the room, not just tech guys building it, and that's it. So those voices are really important. And you bring that through partnership. So partnership with academia, partnership with funders. We can't fund this on our own. We need strategic partners that will fund our innovations, right, and make it accessible. Technical strategic partners as well. So it's important to understand that and leverage that, because we can't afford, like you said, you can't afford to build out your own language model. They already exist. Plug them in, right? Yeah. So we have to think about that and actually implement partnerships to succeed.
All right. I think the time has come for us to just give the last words. We want to have parting shots from each and every one of you, keeping in mind we are speaking to the young people out there, maybe looking for answers and looking to you for that. So what are your parting shots? The theme, championing the next generation of innovators in Africa. So let's go ahead and start with yes.
I'll start it. Great. Say to the young entrepreneurs in Africa, just go out there and try, because doesn't matter how many times you fail. The more you fail, the more you learn from it. And I feel like entrepreneurs were basically the future of Africa. And I feel like if we support each other, we learn from each other. I think AI can be a raising tool for us. And yeah.
Great. Great. Michael?
This is one of the best times to be African, whether you are from continent or from the diaspora. So I would say, I give them, like, go do what you need to do, be successful. You might fail many times, but you will find the answer if you plug away, you do your work. So go do what you need to do, you win, and provide for our people.
For me, I would say I don't think there is any innovation that came to life without failure. As I've said, you talk about Thomas Edison, the Wright brothers. Nothing happened without failing. So let's start failing early so that we get to the solutions faster.
Yeah, I think for the young Africans and all of our next generation Africans, I would say two things. Number one, always learn. Be ready to learn, whether you're building a company or in a company. So trying to always have that spirit of learning and failing and all of that, but just learning, constantly learning and adding skills beyond just the innovation itself as well. So it's really important to have an idea, but think about, okay, in reality, what do I need to understand to make this successful or to make it sustainable? So that's important. The other side of it I want to say is you can innovate without being a CEO. You can innovate without being a founder, right? I think we need to detach ourselves away from just founder, CEO. That's the only path. But you can innovate within an organization that you're already working at. So if that's not for you, it's okay to step back and say, let me help this other founder achieve this mission that I also align with, right? So really ask yourself, is that something that you want to go down? Are you truly, meant to be in that entrepreneurship path or not? And it's okay. You can still innovate and make changes without that title as well.
Yes. Everyone keeps saying that Africa has a lot of problems, but I think as the entrepreneurs here have said, they're solving problems. So I think the main new problems that you have are actually great opportunities for you as the youth, and even for us all, because we are the people who understand the problems you're facing. We are the one who has been in this context, and we are the best people to solve these problems for our communities. So go forth and solve these problems.
That is such a wonderful way to end off this panel. I just want to say a very big thank you to all of you for joining us for this very special edition of Young Africa Connects on the sidelines of the Global AI Summit on Africa right here in Kigali, Rwanda. My name is Makeda Mahario, and hopefully we will see you again for the next one.
Thank you. Bye.